Members, the question is the bill be read a second time. The Honourable Dr Brian Walker.
Thank you, Acting President. I doubt sometimes the value of too many words in a chamber because, to be honest, there's such a lot of opinions going around that it's difficult to get a consensus. But I think it would be stupid to imagine that we're not going to get a consensus upon today's excellent bill. Now, I'm so very grateful for the Honourable Colin de Grus's tribute, if you like, to the family he has known for so many years. We also have been in contact with the family, and in particular Lara Jensen, who has done a sterling job in bringing this to everybody's attention. Now, for any of us who've driven extensively in the country, it's very different to driving along the Kwinana Freeway or indeed in central Perth. The rail crossings are, well, they're marked, but they're not really marked prominently. The concept here of barriers coming down and lights flashing and bells going just is not there. So it's actually driving against the sun or with inadequate lighting. It's actually very difficult to see what is happening. Now, of course, if you're local and you're driving on local roads, you know where the crossings are. But if you're driving in unknown areas or less well-known areas, it might come as a surprise. And so what we need, of course, is for safety to be paramount. And that doesn't cost a great deal to put a light on a crossing. It doesn't cost a great deal of effort to do what is necessary to allow a life to be saved with something as simple as lighting. So I was surprised when I read a list of those organisations that are agreeing with the family of Christian. 24 years ago, he lost his life. And it would be nice to have a kind of a testimony to his memory and to those others who have died on these rail crossings due to inadequate safety provisions. Now, she wrote a long list. I'll read it out because it bears reading. The National Farmers Federation, WA Farmers, the Nationals WA, of course, Australian Trucking Association, Western Roads Federation, the Country Women's Association of WA and the Leader of New South Wales, the Australian Local Government Association, Western Australian Local Government Association, the RAC of WA, Pastoralists and Graziers Association, the Northern Territory Road Transport Association, the Livestock and Rural Transport Association of WA, TransSafe WA, the Livestock and Rural Transport Association of Australia, Livestock, Bulk and Rural Carriers, New South Wales, Queensland Trucking Association, the South Australian Road Transport Association, the Livestock and Rural Transporters Association of Queensland and South Australia, Transport Workers Union of WA, and Livestock and Rural Transporters Association of Victoria. So a lot of support from those who know best, who are actually travelling these roads, who are supporting safety on these roads. But that's all very well and good. I'd like to describe to you what actually happens, because I've actually seen this. When I was called to an emergency, a car crash actually, and it wasn't a train, it was a truck, but very similar circumstance. Because when I arrived at the accident with my bag there, I was leaving my lunch behind to find the car had gone under a truck, and in the front of the car there were two bodies. In the back of the car there were two heads. And of course there's not much you can do about that, so you head back and finish your lunch. But some time later, I came across a young woman who was working with her mother and some friends in a local factory, an abattoir actually. And she was missing for some time. I didn't know why, but she came in and there was something different about her, quite a lot different about her. She had been driving her mother and two others. Now, she was in the back seat. She was lying down having a sleep because it was about 4:30 in the morning, a dark night. And the other three were sitting, chatting as they do on their way to work. And they approached a railway crossing and crossed it, unaware that there was a train sitting on that crossing, unlit. Now, the three women who were sitting up, they lost their heads in the accident. She was lying back. She lost her face. Her face was ripped off. She survived. When I saw her, after a much plastic surgery, a very greatly changed face, of course, recognisable, but having experienced the trauma of being almost decapitated, her face being ripped off, her mother beside her, her head being ripped off, this is the reality of what happens when you don't have safety on these areas. And I don't know about you, but I find it completely unacceptable that the risk continues. And so I would commend heartily sensible legislation to improve the safety on the crossings, and I hope very much that this bill will contribute to that.